Hi everyone. Now it comes to one of those developer things. I've got a 3D printer going, and it's in the middle of a prototype. So I've got the mic actually really close, as you can see. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you use your thing? Can you put a message in the box just to tell me you can hear me? And also comment on the noise in the background, because it's not, is it an echo? Let me just see. Hang on. Let's turn that off in case it's that. Yeah, okay. So I've got my 3D printer going over here. Well, if you look, where are we? I've got to reverse these. If you look at this image right here, I've had some spare time because the designs have gone off, and I have this itch sometimes. I just have to make something, and I bought one of these Korg little synthesizers, which I've always wanted, an analog synthesizer. I'm not a musician. I'm rubbish. Seriously, I'm rubbish. But I like making things. Anyway, so I had this MT32 adapter board from Edu, which I bought off of him, and I thought I'd make something a bit nicer, because it was like this, just the Raspberry Pi and this board on top. It worked well, but you know, as you can hear. But I thought I'd build something to put it in a bit nicer. So I built this thing. This is not a product. As you can see, all the outputs at the back, and then you got. This is version 6. I've got another one being printed. But as you can see, it's got the little display on the front. I also put a fan in it because this does get quite warm in here, and I know it's because the board above it. So I put heat sinks on it, and I've put a fan on it. And so also, if you look at the display, I've got one of the things is the MIDI interface isn't in far enough. Damn. Let's push that back. Get in there. There you go. Can you see that? The display. Anyway, so I thought I had a bit of time, so I thought I'd play with that. But that's not exactly much of a stream, is it? So, and it's in the title. I think the title is Difficult Choices to Make. And so, yes. So I'm going to try and be brief. I always say this. Fairly brief. I've forgotten his bloody name now. I'm going to be fairly like half hour on this. The reason there's a few people watching, and I want to get some feedback. Now, what the feedback I'm looking for is not if you go here you'll get this bit 2p cheaper. It's not that kind of feedback. What I'm looking for is, oh God, is that too expensive, or is that okay, or whatever? Because this project's got, I knew it would be an expensive thing to make, but it has got expensive. So that's what we're discussing tonight. And as I said, I probably will delete this video. So if you're watching this live, then you're going to see some stuff that normally I don't think developers would share. But it's to give you a feel for what, you know, for people. Sometimes people want to know what's, if you don't want to know what goes into, you know, the costing of products and so on, then this won't be for you. But if you're fascinated, if you're maybe fascinated by it, and then you can see the kind of things I'm having to juggle to bring this thing to market. So anyway, let's show you a couple of pictures. I know people like pretty pictures. Here you go. So Paul did some renders for me, which I'm really pleased with. This is the very latest one actually. So it's very close. Now this is actually from the final design. The last batch you saw were pre this version, and you can tell that because if you're looking on the picture at the top, it's got square speaker vents, whereas the new one's round. this is because during this process, I've had some great advice from people, and one of the things was you have to seal the air, so the air at the back isn't affected by the air at the front, or it's the other way around, whatever it is, but you have to seal it, and you can't do that if it's all open. So this won't mould. I've got to rethink this. I wouldn't go subject, but we've obviously got to pull this out of a mould, and that at the moment is okay for 3D printing. Everything else is fine, the top is fine, 99% of this is fine, except the speakers. They won't work like that, so I've got to rethink them. But the idea of the speakers is to test them. So I'm not putting cheap speakers in this thing. And not overly expensive, because there's no point going mad. It's not meant to be a hi-fi. But I'm not putting cheap speakers in it. I was hoping we'd see both sides side by side. Yeah, there you go. So there's the 19-inch and the 17-inch side by side. And the 17-inch is gorgeous. I mean, you can't deny it. It is beautiful. But the 19-inch is more practical. But we're going to get into some seriously worrying territory with this stream. So, but as I said, we've got the speakers, you can see. And I've been experimenting with 2 or 3 different types of speakers, which I've got around. I've got some from Germany. Had some help from, damn, I've forgotten his name already. Oh, Jesus, I'm terrible. It'll come to me in a second. But I've been getting some help from people, advice on speakers and design and so on. And I bought a manual, which I opened up, looked at, laughed, can't understand that, and put it to one side. Although I did read a bit about the sealing, and this is one of the bits of advice I was given, to make sure you seal the front from the rear air, so the pressure. Which is quite handy to know. So, but there's a lot here now. Hopefully you like the look of the new design. Well, I'm not having a door. I was thinking of having a door because, that's retro, but Jesus, what a pain in the butt. And people are going to lose them. I did think about having them so they would slide down and can't come out. But in the end, I decided to go for this. Now, this, again, is a prototype, but it's really quite close to finish now. And if you look at the image, in fact, let me just make this bigger for you. Hang on. Let's make that bigger for you. So if you, on the left-hand side of the monitor, each are the same. On the left-hand side of the monitor, actually, I tell you what, you don't need to see me this big, do you? Here you go, get really nice and small. I can't see the logo now. I'm in the bloody way again. I tell you what, let me move myself. Blackmagic device. Yeah, let me put myself over here. There you go. I'm out of the way. So you can see the whole look of the monitor now. And if you look at the left-hand side where it says expansion dock, I think he's put there. That's Paul's put that in there. The idea of that is so that you can make your own template. Put whatever you like in it. I've got 3 USBs, but it will come blank. There'll be a blank panel, like I've done on the other on the cases. But it'll also probably come with hopefully a couple of samples, like one with USBs, audio. I don't know, but you can 3D print whatever you like and make it fit. The designs would be available, so you could, and also you could put a little an OLED panel on there if you want to, because you can have computers in this thing. So it's quite flexible. On the right of that, now that is going to be different. So if you can see, the power button on the right side is aping the style of my cases and the 3000. That on the prototype, if you come to this show, if you come to a show and try it, it's solid. It don't do nothing. It's there for design at the moment because that's what it's going to look like. But for a prototype, one of the problems we got, if you see the little buttons, they're not going to look like that because they're going to be little more squared, nice looking buttons. They look quite nice already actually, but they're the standard ones. And if you see them close up, you see they're not particularly brilliant. They're there just for prototyping. But there'll be a completely new board. So I'm not doing this for the prototype because it's expensive designing boards just to make this. Okay, so if the Kickstarter's a success, then there'll be a new board. But the layout will be the same, just with nicer buttons, etc. Yeah, so that's quite important, I think. And you can see the stand. This is the new fixed stand, wider stand, and so on. Now, this is not the final stand again. This is just a prototype, and it's solid. It don't move. Nothing happens. That's going to happen if the Kickstarter's success. I'll design that, but again, the stand is another thing. So, but as you can see, I think I love the 17-inch, but I think the 19-inch for me is most practical. Now, the other thing about this is that 19-inch, over 80% of people, I did a poll, I like my polls, of about 300 or 400 people, 80% want 19-inch, 20%, under 20% want 17-inch. We all love the look of the 17. Most people want the, excuse me, I've got itchy nose. Most people want the 19-inch. So, and that becomes a problem as I go through this video. So, these are off being made now. So I'm having two prototypes made. I have a 17-inch panel and I have a 19-inch panel, and I'm making both of these prototypes up with the speakers in. And the speakers I've got 3-inch samples and 4-inch samples. And the holes in the side are for the 4-inch, but I'll make an adapter. Well, one will have the 3-inch and one will have the 4-inch. Now, I actually prefer the sound of the 3-inch. They're also heavier. They're also a lot more expensive. The 4-inch ones seem to have a bit more bass. It depends how they're put inside. I mean, you may have seen that I made little boxes to do testing, and I put some sound deadening inside to try and experiment with the quality and find what I've got to do to get the best out of them. They're not meant to be hi-fi speakers, but they are meant to be that you'll be thinking, do I really need separate speakers with this monitor? Because I'm hoping the sound's going to be really good. I mean, I know it's going to be good because I've got the speakers upstairs. And once they're put inside with that, but we've got to see what they sound like inside. So not cutting corners on this thing at all. I mean, that panel is expensive. These are IPS panels, industrial panels. Ignore that this is a rendered image, so it's not. But they actually do look. I mean, look, if you see behind me, my 1000. See, it's got that down there. Absolutely gorgeous panel. And because it's IPS, you can see it almost flat, and you can still see it. It's just amazing. So they're really nice panels. People have asked me for specifications. I'm not releasing that yet. I could release the data sheets. No, I don't have a problem with doing that, except I haven't finalised which ones I'm actually going for. So that's I'm not releasing it. I'll do it for the Kickstarter. So once the Kickstarter's out there, I will release the technical stuff, and you can read all about the panels. I'm not hiding. I want to decide what ones I'm going for. Now, let's. So basically, hopefully, you can understand from this. I'm not cutting any corners. As they said in the movie, spare no expense. And trust me, I'm not trying to make these cheap. I'm trying to make these as good as they can be at a reasonable cost. And that's what we're going to come on to now. Now, the big problem is this. In an ideal world, I'd have a pricing to supply everything with it, etc. But not everyone wants speakers. They don't necessarily want speakers. Not everyone's going to want... I haven't got the board down here, have I? Not everyone's going to want the GBS 8200 board in it. And so I'm going to have to do, like I've done before, add-ons. And so what we'll do is we'll build a basic model without speakers, and then you add the bits that you want and the type that you want and so on. So it's the only way, I think, because I've been looking. I'm going to show you the figures. I'm actually going to show you the figures. I'm going to show you everything. That's why this may get deleted later. Got any update on Kickstart date? No, not yet. I'm going to show you some figures. Now, I don't think people normally do this, but I think it's important that people understand, that what goes into making these. If you've ever thought about you want to do something like this, you're going to learn a little bit tonight, and hopefully you'll see what I mean by it's a bit of a nightmare how we're going to progress this, because it's not cheap. Anyway, right. So, how are we going to do this now? Let me get this picture off of here. Let's go back to here. And What we got here? We don't need that. Don't really need that, do we? Right, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you figures. As I said, not many people are going to do this, but I'm going to show you. And I'm going to explain what this costs. Just adjusting everything. Right. So this is my spreadsheet, right? And what I tend to do is I do this on each one because the one thing you have to be careful of, don't make a mistake. I knew this from the beginning when I did the first Kickstarter. Don't make a mistake, because if you make a mistake, you're screwed. So, it's fairly obvious, right? So I'm just going to talk through it. So now look, here's the parts. Now this is pretty much, as you can see, we have costs here. Now the biggest part of the cost is the IPS panels, okay? Yeah, 19-inch IPS. And to be fair, the 19, people said, oh, the 17 should be cheaper. Actually, the 17-inch should be more expensive because the panels are slightly more expensive and it costs more to make the front bezel. So they should, in theory, I mean, we're only talking about £3 or £4, but so it's not going to be cheaper. But it might not happen. So, as you can see, the target price I'm going for at the moment is £329. Okay, now that's without speakers. Originally, I was working on. I was trying to get it for £279, but if you look there, you can see you got £181 at the moment. £181 production cost. Now, all this is excluding VAT. So we've got like £181. That's to manufacture the part, okay? But it doesn't include the tooling costs. So now if you look down here, this part here. Let's do it over here, shall we? If you look at this, yeah, look at these figures. £24,000 to make the rear panel. It's nearly £16,000 to make the tooling for the 19-inch bezel. If we want a 17-inch, it's another £16,000. This is just gets ridiculous. So, as you can see, like for example, rear blade. Ignore the bits at the bottom, but the stand. That's the, don't ignore, that's kind of the non-movable stand. You can probably double that for costs for making a movable stand. This is a really expensive thing to make. So now I'll show you now. Based on this, my aim is not to make less than 25% profit. I have to because I've got to pay for rent, I've got to pay for all kinds of stuff, and I might even have to part-time employ someone. So this project is an absolute scary beast. And I have to sell 1,000. And this is an awful lot. My original Kickstarter was 90. This is 4 times the size of the original Kickstarter. Not worry about the mini because that was a different thing entirely, but the plus because there was quite a bit of tooling. But the tooling on there was, I think, about half the cost, something like that, a third of the cost. So obviously the tooling is ridiculous. Now, so my basic at the moment, now this could change. This is what I'm saying I'm agonising because firstly, there is no 17-inch version unless we make it a stretch goal. Has to be a stretch goal. So I need to, for example, to do anything. Just to get that, if I put that 15 now, if I make a 17 version, it's no point making it only, right? It's not even coming in the equation. The only one that's going to be made at the moment is a 19-inch. If we can reach a stretch goal, and to give you some idea, let's put that figure in here. Oh, let's do it over here, shall we? Right. If I put that into there, oh, wrong one. Let's get this right. Just so you get a feel for this. Right, it's dropped, which means, so I have to increase the sales. So let's say we'll go up to, oh, hang on, that doesn't work, does it? Let's go up to 1,250. Okay, no, it's not enough. So we have to go up to, say, 1,350. There you go. It's getting back up to it. right? Because I have to make 25%. So let's say 1,400. So you can see how much we have to turn over. So there's going to be stretch goals in this. So that's if people really want the 17-inch version. And I know people like the 17, and so do I. So that's what I'd like to. The next stretch goal will be along the lines of the speakers. Now, once I get to that, if I get up to 2,000, now I don't even know if I can do this. I mean, this is just getting ridiculous. But if I put in 2,000, if we can get up to 2,000, that then means I can then put, I can include, for example, I could start getting to think about including the speakers for the same price. And this is what I'm aiming to do, is to build the Kickstarter so that I can, as the more and more money gets made, for the same price, you're going to get more bits. But of course, it's once the tooling's made, that's when I can start doing it, because after that I make more profit. So it's going to be I'm really going to be pushing the whole Kickstarter with the now I don't even know. I mean, I think we can do 1,000 monitors. I think, fingers crossed, because I did 650 cases, and that's purely to Amiga fans. So I think this monitor is going to go across the board. Now, the interesting thing is going to be, let me put this back to the way it was. Let's put this back and put that to 0. Right, so you can see back down again, right? That's pretty much what it's going to be to start with. It has to sell 1,000, but that's if. Now I could just go in 379. That's another way of doing it. This is what I'm having to work out. Yeah, wax up the. Oh, okay, right, that's fine, because then I can go. Oh, well, we'll put this back in here then. Yeah, 15,808. Okay, we're still doing all right. You know, you put it up to 379. So you see, I could put the price up higher, but then I can start saying, right, with that price, I can include the speakers, because you can see I've taken the speakers out. So I could put the speakers back in. Yeah, okay. There's still some money there. I could then potentially include the GBS, for example. So you see, so I'm trying to work. Do I make the product start at 329 and you add the bits, or do I start higher and then maybe scare people off, but then it includes a lot more? So this is the bit I'm trying to work out at the moment. This is the absolute nightmare. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. That's where I am. I'm just trying to do the maths. Now, what do you think? Do you think I should be charging? Now, bear in mind, none of these include VAT. None of these include VAT. So if you're in the UK, I'll sell it plus VAT. If you're abroad, when you get it, you'll pay your VAT or your local tax. And they don't include shipping, obviously. But we can customize these monitors. So we can do this. Now, because the one thing I'm thinking is that if I do it for $379, not everyone wants the speakers. Not everyone wants the GBS. Some people just want the standard HDMI and VGA and the composite that comes in the monitor for $329. And they don't want speakers because they've got hi-fi ones like sitting over here. They don't need them. So that's what's making me think of do a $329 version, and then you upgrade. Maybe even do something like a deluxe. But I think it's probably easier to say add the bits that you want, and we'll custom build them in as we go along. But that's where I'm at the moment. I'm just trying to work out the best way of doing this, because I think as a basic monitor, 329 is good. Now, when people hear these speakers, I mean, I'll give you an example of what it's probably going to cost. To add the speakers is probably going to be £25 extra. Because I tell you what, I'm doing like I did before. The reason why the cases kept me going and why I'm doing this now is I made money on extras. So you could always put these in yourself, right? Because I'll make sure that you get the GBS mounting plate, but you can buy your own. But mine will be quite cheap. So if you want a GBS with the controller and everything, my aim at the moment is around £29, £35, something like that. For that, the board and our little adapter board and the little controller board, everything. So quite cheap. Ish. Speakers about 25 quid. But you can put your own ones in, because the wiring will be in there. You just have to connect them up. Some people won't want speakers, but if you hear them, you're going to want them. I mean, I guarantee you this. People are going to want them. So this is why do I do it like that, or do I just go out $379, whatever, something like that, and it includes the speakers and it includes the GBS as standard. Because I do think the other thing is, here look, can you see what I don't use anymore? Yeah, OSSC, don't use it anymore. I just use GBS. Well, that's actually coming in for HDMI over the Vampire. But I know Byron's online. Great job. The board's upstairs, absolutely brilliant. I will do a video at some point about that, because I'm gonna, when the monitors arrive, they'll go on there with the new board, so you'll be able to see with that new board. It's got RGB, so we have SCART RGB from the back of the Amiga into these 15 kilohertz. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic. Some people say, well, the GBS is not that particularly brilliant. It was okay. But with this, the GBS control, this little firmware that's been written for it, and Byron's board really finishes it off. So you have this one little board. You've probably seen these. Let me hang on, tell you what, let me go back to here. We've seen enough of that. Let's go back to here. So you've probably seen this. Okay, that's the controller board that goes in the monitor. There's going to be another board that goes right across here, like a breakout board that connects internally, and then puts all these ports. And this will be standard. All these ports are component in. Now, unfortunately, the standard component in is interlace only. You can't do 240p. Hence the GBS and so on. But there'll be two composite inputs with stereo shared, and then there's stereo output for the speakers, and of course a couple of other bits. But there's also a USB so you can plug in, play movies, which is actually quite nice, even though it's for free. But if you've got some for free content, it'll look absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's it. These will be available. These fitting kits, and you've probably already seen. You've probably seen this one, which is going to be the fitting kit for the Retro Tinks. So if you want Super VHS, this is the only thing you can't do with the GBS. If you want Super VHS, this thing will do it composite. It will do a much better composite than built-in. Okay, although to be fair, the composite, the composite on standard composite on the monitor is absolutely amazing. So I don't think it's worth buying it for composite. But if you want Super VHS, you can buy one of these. And there is also, he does the mini Tink, again, which has got a fitting kit for that. And this thing here is the button. You pull it and it activates the button. Or the other thing, of course, is if you want to fit inside your Mister, there's a fitting kit for one of them. There's a fitting kit for a Pi. There'll be all kinds of stuff you'll be able to do with this. But so it's going to be, again, it's like I did before with the extras, because I do have to. I know that I've shown you the figures. It looks like a lot of money. Wow, look at that money. It's not as much as you think. By the time you finish, and if there's any mistakes, any extras I'm not allowed for, that comes out of that. I pay £7,000 or £8,000 a year for my office. I'm already eating into the profit for the plus cases, so it's not as much as you think. If I sell 2,000 or 3,000, then I actually start making some money. Then it means I can start pushing on into other areas, and I can go full time. Because my problem is I can't go full time, which is frustrating. But that's life, and I'm not complaining about it. But it means I have to keep up like a 3-day day job. But yeah, so that's where we are. At the moment, it's looking like, excluding VAT, $329 for a base monitor, no stand. That's the other thing I didn't mention. The stand is going to be expensive because there's going to be a plastic part and a metal part. It looks fantastic without the stand, and so the stand may be an optional extra. It may be a stretch goal. I really am kind of agonising over this because it's an expensive thing to make. If I'm selling 100,000, easy, right? Do it all day long, 250 quid. but it's not. We're not selling that. We'll probably sell. I'm hoping we can sell a couple of thousand. I don't think it's unreasonable, but there you are. I'm gonna have a look at some questions, see if there's any questions. Well, there are questions, but what I want to do is go through and see what we got being said here. Spaniard, Echo, MT32 Pi, nice. We can hear you. Sounds good, yeah. Unless you have. Okay, yes, okay, yeah, okay. Let's just say they can hear me. I was able to see both sides. Good, okay, looks great. Colour choices, okay. Colour choices, oyster white. I did actually was thinking of going a bit more beige. And Paul said to me, no, keep it the same as the case. And I think he's right. The oyster white is actually quite a nice colour. And if you can see, the monitor there is oyster white, and as you saw in the pictures, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that around the sides. It looks tacky. It might look good in the renders, but it looks tacky when you see it. So I'm just going plain. As you saw with those original pictures, we just have the same. It's the same colour, good quality injection moulding again. But yeah, so oyster white and black, and so, but it's all injection molded, so it's hopefully won't suffer quite. We're going for a textured finish this time. It's called a D1 if you want to look it up. That's at the moment. That's the plan. It's so if you look at most of like the computer cases, you see like the 3000 and so on. They've got this kind of very fine mottled. It's like sandblasted kind of. It's not, as you said, it's like bead blasted. But that's kind of what I'm going for with this monitor. So it'll have like a satin sheen, but if you look at it closely, you'll see it's kind of tiny little dimples, and that'll give a smoother finish, I think, overall, and it'll give it a nice textured finish. Because I want this thing to look beautiful. It's really important to me, because one of the important things is you just get a black one, you stick it on top of CDTV. Damn, that's going to look really good. So. I know a lot of people know black is happening. The problem I've got is 19 inch, 17 inch. You saw the figures. £16,000 tall up. It's a huge amount of money. It's okay if I go if I go 379 and do 1,000, but what if I go 379 and I can't sell 1,000? Because at least at 329 you can have your 19 inch. My thinking was, if I reach the stretch goal, then I'll open up the 17 inch, and if you've got a 19, you could switch to a 17 inch because the funds will be made by then. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So as I said, there's hard choices to make here. It's not a simple little simple thing. I don't know if you notice. I mean, look, the biggest cost there is obviously the panels. I mean, they're £78. I think you probably saw them about £73.65. $100 basically they cost, and that's not including shipping. I'm going to have a whole container to myself because we worked out it's a lot more stuff this time, a lot more shipping costs because these are big. So yeah, it's quite a big thing to do. So, and I've even talking to where my office unit is about temporary expansion. Going to talk to him tomorrow about that. So yeah, it's interesting. Let's have a look at some more questions. Let's have a look. Right. Do all games programs show full screen edge to edge? Okay, well that's an interesting one because if you're running, okay, so this is where the OBS comes in with the OBS control, because it's got a web browser interface. And you can tweak it and stretch it, and I mean the panel itself. If you go in composite, it automatically fills the screen with it. It's how it works, and it looks good. But I'm expecting there to be on the basic composite. I'm expecting to get a little bit of latency. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not like, like a Retro Tink or the new OBS 8200s because with that OBS control, the latency's dropped through the floor. So, but I don't notice any latency. I'm pretty rubbish probably, but I paid a Nintendo 64 through this composite. That's on here, through here, and it's fantastic. So, I'm not particularly too worried about that. But again, you'll have the options to plug in boards and increase what it can do. But yeah, my point was when it comes to the Amiga, because with the Amiga, this is an HDMI display. But hang on. Okay, you see that? Full screen. So I don't know if you can recognise the Demon's demo, but that's filling the screen up. But I've had to go into the interface and tweak it to fill it, because I'm using the GPS, going for the control, and you'll notice, I mean, it's razor sharp, you know, this in fact this is a component. It's not as good as the RGB, and that is absolutely amazing on the RGB. So. For me as an Amiga fan, this is fantastic, and it's really smooth, and it's 50 hertz. If you put 50 hertz into it, you get 50 hertz out of it. If you put 60 into it, you get 60. All right. If you put a 15 kilohertz signal into it, it doubles it to 31, so it can go out, and it does all that, and it does it really nicely. So. I think it's a fantastic display when people actually get it and they see it, because this panel's amazing. I don't know if you can. Yeah, it's not much going on in the middle, is it? But you can still see it, and it's at a right angle. These panels are fantastic. So yeah, it does fill the screen. I was hoping to see both side by side. Looks spiffy, good concept, helps me further continue. Let's be clear about this. It's not just about Amiga. Yes, you know I'm an Amiga nutter. Yes, I'm trying to build an Amiga. You know that story. But for this to come onto market, it has to be good for all communities. It's got to look good sitting next to a piece on a PC, sitting next to a games console. That's the whole point of this, that it looks nice. It's very important. I'm hoping all communities will back this Kickstarter, because it's the only way we're going to get a 17-inch. You're not going to get a 17-inch unless it gets well backed. As for the update and Kickstart date, I'm once I made the decision on how I'm marketing and costing it, then I'm ready. Now, in theory, my plan was, there's a big show coming up in Norfolk, the OLL 2022, which was postponed from January to April. My aim was to start the Kickstarter in sequence with that show, so people can come to the show, see the monitors, have a look at the prototypes, really get a feel for what I'm trying to do with these, see everything, then go online and back it. That's the plan. So that is the aim, is to do that then. Fingers crossed, because everything's online at the moment to be able to do this. The one thing that is going to be an issue is you lot. Seriously, right? I'm going to need evangelists. I'm going to need people to be, knocking on websites, knocking on, channels, talk about this, talk about it, because we're never going to get this off the ground. And I really want to. Even if I only do the 1,000, fine, that's okay, because I know it'll sell probably 50% more. If I'm going by the monitor, the case model, another 50%. So I know, okay, fine, we can make a few more. But you won't. We do need to get to 2,000. So if you want a 17-inch, you've got to get these numbers. I've got to ship, and then I can invest. And then once I've got that, the other thing about this is, if I sell 2,000, I'll give you a scenario. If I sell 2,000, you've seen the figures, I can then quit my day job. Okay, things are in plan. If I can get to this kind of figure, I can quit my day job, do this completely full time. I'm already talking with people about boards, new Amigas, but it can't happen because it's time. However, there's stuff going on in the background, machines. But that's, step by step by step by step. Right, I do really want the 17 to happen. I'll personally buy 2 of myself, but I'll also totally understand if it doesn't happen because I do see the economic challenges. Yeah, I appreciate the fact you see it. This is why I'm not shy of showing these figures, because I don't care if you know what I'm making. 25% is not a lot, really isn't. Trust me, on the extras it'll be 50%, which is much more like it because it's expensive doing this. I mean, it's really funny. I've got about 40 grand's worth of stock for cases because the minis haven't sold. They sold 300 or 400, but people, unless you give them a reason to buy the mini, they're not interested. But the pluses, they just constantly sell. They're lovely little things. They just sell nicely. But it costs money to keep the business running, to keep everything going. It's expensive. Having an office, and outside the office, it's not too bad. But prototyping, that kind of thing. And that's why I love my Patreons, because they allow me to pay for prototyping. Anyway, so and I'm not complaining, I promise you, because I'm hoping I'm going to make some money. I mean, not with a fortune, but if I can give my day job up or drop it literally to 1 day consultancy kind of thing, continue that way, and then I can do this full time, and then I know I can do some interesting things. Right. Don't we want speakers more than different sizes? No, I wouldn't worry about the speakers, because don't worry about the speakers, because the speakers, look, I'm as I said, I'm going to be charging 25 quid. You can order them for 12, 13 pounds. I'll give you the link and you can put them in yourself. You just bolt the damn things in and you wire them up, and I'll even tell you how to make the sound absorbing material behind them. You can upgrade it. That's the point of this. So, but there are some people who don't want to do that, right? It's not but the speakers were. If I put the speakers on that calculation, as you probably saw, in fact I did, didn't I? If I put the speakers on that calculation, it puts it up probably another 18 to 18 pound. Yeah, it's not it's it's another thing. Is putting the price up a little bit more. 329 is like a magic number. So you got, I think, £279 is a magic number, or 269, 329 if you have to. The next one is 379 because it's not 399. It's like, and so it's a nightmare. But that's why I'm agonising. But the speakers were a non-factor for me. Yeah, see, well, okay, look, but the speakers make no difference. Well, apart from one thing. If I forget the speakers and I sell a bare bones machine that hasn't got speakers in it at 329, then it probably will 50% increase in sales. It makes a big difference, the default price. But then people upgrade. They want more bits, but they're happy to start at the lower price. What inputs does the panels controller come with as standard? I think I've already covered this, but I'm just going to go. Here you go. I mean, it's got HDMI, VGA. These three here are the two composites inputs, BNCs, but they're the same as them two. It's the same inputs, but this is a composite output. So if you've got composite going in, it will reflect outwards into another monitor. So you could actually do a composite stream, come in and out, right? So which I think would be quite nice. Over here's component. It's got component built into it. The sad thing is, which is quite disappointing, it won't do a non-interlace. So no 240, no non-interlace. Okay, which is disappointing. It just doesn't recognise the signal. But it's got pretty much everything you want on it. You see, so it's not. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it is good. Now the great thing is, because all the other cards plug in to the internal HDMI. There's an internal HDMI here. I'm talking to Byron about switches and stuff like that. But also the GBS, there's right here is the internal VGA. And so it plugs internally. So what it does is, if you plug internally, it disables the externals. See, there's lots of things going on here. But then there's the speaker output, goes to the internal speakers or goes to the outputs. There's a lot there, hell of a lot of inputs. Now, of course, you start adding other boards above it, you add even more. Make 19 each with bigger bezel. No, it's too big. I kind of mocked it up. If you do look, that monitor there, that's quite a wide computer, and it looks good on it. You start getting a big computer like that and sticking a bigger monitor, it's too much. That's why I did the 19-inch. Okay, I mean it's just a decision I've had to make. But the 17s, the difference is the resolution. They're both 1280 1024s. They're both IPS. Okay, you get more DPI dots per inch with the 17-inch because it's smaller, so it'll probably look better. But yeah, my eyesight, but you're gonna have to. But I'm not making it bigger. It won't work. Because why is that stopped? Hang on, let's get my other mouse. Okay, here we go. Right. Make it more interesting because bigger screens, real estate, and look better. Yeah. I'd like to see close-up pics of the 90-inch panel running different standard. Fine. When the show. I mean, when I get the next prototypes in, I'll do a lot more. But I am going to take them to shows, so you're going to be able to come along and see them. Yeah, exactly. Byron's absolutely right. Slap GBS control onto the GBS 8200. It's a different ball game. I tell you what, hand on heart, compared to the new GBS with it, I wouldn't touch it. I took it out. I was using this OSSC. It's good. It's amazing. In fact, because it's a line scan doubler, that's your benefit. Apart from that, though, actually using it with an Amiga, nah. GBS is way better. I had so many problems setting that bloody thing up. It's great, but it's a bitch to set up. Whereas this, bang, saved. Perfect. I think those look good. 90 inches. Yeah, I mean, look. Let me just load the pictures up again so you can see these pictures again. Let me get rid of that. Let's bring these displays up because. Here we go. General. There we go. Let's move me out of the way. I'll shrink me. Let's shove me up here. Okay, so look, we've got. I mean, the 19 inches on the left, and in case you didn't know, they're going to be called the 1089 and the S. And 1087S. No, and the reason is because 1084 was a 14-inch. So I'm going to use the names, and I think it's just nice memory. But apart from that, they're kind of different. But as you can see, I think the 19, because I've got much more. One thing I've done on the new prototypes, which on here they're a bit more sharp. I didn't do such big bezel. Fillets, the rounded corners, they're a lot bigger, more rounded on the edges now, and I've really made them a bit more sleek. And when you see it close, I mean, I've only got this in renders, but once you get them, you'll see. I'm pretty confident these things are going to look really, really nice. I put a lot of effort into making sure they look nice. And when you turn, I don't know if you've actually seen. Let me take this out of here. One thing I really like, and this was asked by someone, and I thought it was a great idea. Let me just. I don't know if we've actually got a picture of the back. Did he do one of the back? Oh well, no, he hasn't. We haven't actually got it in the back. See, look, you can see. Now that was before. That was the older version, slightly older. But you can see. I mean, they're just looking really, really good. Actually, you can kind of see it here. If you look at the top, it's actually got a handle. You can pick the thing up. Now, it's not a very big handle, so you kind of have to put your finger and clasp it like that and lift it. But it also has that nice curve on the top, that kind of the hump, which we put onto the thing, which I think is going to look really nice. And we've got this raised bit that raises out, and these panels at the back where you put stuff into it. That's a shot of. Oh, hang on, let's get the right one. That's a shot of the internals. It's changed since here, but it's pretty much gives you the idea of what it's like. I still think that, I mean, that's actually quite a nice shot. Now remember, these here, they're actually all round. Then I mean, I've got to sort this out because it won't pull out the mould. So we've got to work this out. I may end up going back to that, but you have to seal the air, which is an interesting one. Right, what we got here? Let's see messages. Sorry, I got an awful lot of messages here. Forgive me. Bigger screen. What about the set to the right of a lot of Amiga suffers? What about? I'm not sure, Richie. I'm not sure what you mean there about the offset. I mean, as I said, if you've got the Amiga modes, I will do a video. I mean, I think I've actually done it, but I'll do a video and I'll explain how this. So when the new prototype arrives, I will do a video about it and show you that. But you get basically a web control and you just go move it across, stretch it. You can do all this kind of stuff. You set it for 720 by 576 or NTSC, and then the panel defaults to that, and then you just move it around and set it all up. And once you've got it set up, you save it, bang, done. Because I haven't touched that now. Once it's because I've been talking to Byron about once I've created the snapshot settings to save them. But you just literally, I use a tablet or mobile phone or website log because it's got a web browser built into the monitor for the GPS control. So it's absolutely amazing, and I think it is really the nuts, to put it bluntly. The better DPI, as long as small pixels still well defined. Yeah, I mean, look, again, you're going to see it. You're going to make your own mind up. I mean, these are 1280, 1024 panels by default, but the controller's quite good, and they do scale nicely. But it's a modern IPS panel. You have to see it to really get the benefit. I think I'd prefer stretch goals rather than increase base price. Yes, this is why I'm at 329. Forget the speakers, because originally I was going to do it like free. Well, I was hoping 329 with everything, but just didn't work. By the time I started adding in like shipping a container, £12,000 to ship everything to here, and that doesn't include all the stuff. All the metalwork is going to come from here, and again we're getting a lot of the metalwork coming from over here again. But obviously a lot is coming from China. That's coming over here in a bloody great big container. It's £12,000 at the moment. It's very expensive for containers at the moment. Hopefully it will drop a bit, and if I can make a bit of profit, like I did with the boxes. At the moment, boxes. I'll come to the boxes. But like I did with boxes, if I make more profit, I'll make the nice colour boxes. But at the moment, I budgeted for a brown, really strong, normal brown box, probably with some writing, but nothing fancy on it. If we make more, then of course I'll up the game again, and we'll pay for it. But it adds thousands to do a real nice colour. I think you should do 329 plus optional extras. Yeah, so do I. Because most people, I think, especially if you're using the Mister, or if you're using the Pi, or if you've got HDMI or VGA, you don't care. 329 again is plus VAT. I'm sorry about that, but it is, because I have to got no option. But it is going to be a good entry, and then I can make, because then as I said, I've got to make 25%. That's my target profit. I have to make that because I've got to pay for everything. Because my rent, I haven't put added rent into the equation, so it's very important. Anyway, so I think that I've completely lost my track. 329, I think, is a good idea. I mean, it was yesterday and today I started coming around to this whole thing of don't put everything in it. Do a basic version like I did with the mini cases. In fact, the Plus is the same. It's not expensive. It's 179. Start adding bits to it, it gets expensive. Yes, it does. But the good thing is, I will get, you will always be able to buy the OBS mount frame from me. I might even include it. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to just include the mount frame for the OBS. You can buy your own bits. Yeah, of course, then you won't get Byron's board, but you know, it won't be expensive. That bit's not going to be expensive. I'm going to around 30 quid, something like that. So you can see it's not going to be a lot of money, because I get them really, really cheap from China. 30, 40 quid. You bear with me on that, right? Speakers, 20, 25 pounds, yeah? So I'll be making more profit on the extras, as I always do, but that really makes a difference to going forward, and it keeps the project alive. Does the bezel on the prototype behind you look smaller because of the painted part? If you mean this, I'm not sure when you put this message. These, I think, are both 17 inch. These all these monitors here have got the 17 inch bezels. I don't think these are the 19. These are both 17s, because the 19 is quite a slim bezel. I'll put it up, but let me put it back up again and you can see it. Let's I'll put that back up, because this is a lovely render. I absolutely love this render. There you go. So you can see the 19 on the left and the 17 on the right hand side. It does look, the 17 does look fantastic. I mean, it really does. But look, polls don't lie. 80% of people want the 19. Everyone says they love the 17, but they want the 19, right? And there's only 20% of people that actually want to buy the 17, because they're like me, they got dodgy eyes. But you know, the 17's a big panel. That is the actual physical size. It's not like the old monitors. And the old, this is more like a, if you're thinking of an old CRT, it's more like a 19 to 20, 19 inch, something like that. And the 19 panel here is more like the 21 inch, because they always hit a lot of the panel, the CRT. Alright. It's impossible to really see the panel for me. Yeah, no, that's fine. It does sound like a panel, I guess. Yeah, it's my 3D printer. It's making a new version of my little MT32. As someone who's interested in restoring my old 386, yes, okay, right. This is for people now. Again, I'm going to mention this, that this is not just. I want these, but I want people to be proud to put these on an IBM PC, to stick them next to a Commodore 64. Look, for example, if we go back up here, let me just scroll down, because we got some lovely pictures here. Here's a black one sitting next to, like, you might want to use it with a SNES. I mean, Paul did some lovely pictures here. Or you might want to build a really nice desktop, yeah, buy one of my cases. Or you get the white one, you put it next to your Nintendo. There's a lovely shot here, actually, further up, sitting with you know, PS1, you know. But the other thing to bear in mind, of course, is that you're going to be able, as I think, and I've already mentioned this. Oh, my camera's gone. Don't panic, Mr. Mandarin. Alright, let's open that one up. No, not that one. To chat? There you go. See, look. Mister, right? You're going to be able to put a Mister in. Have I got the... Yeah, okay. You're going to be able to put a Mister in this, okay? Because this... You'll be able to take this whole thing, because if you're not worried about the top, because you've got you've got 3 bays, and you can use one bay. Actually, this will fit in one bay, but you could put it with 2 bays, connect it in for HDMI, okay, and have a second port sticking out of it if you want to, but have the Mister in it, and that's your computer. You know, that's, I mean, it's an all-in-one computer, and of course I've got some nice keyboards if I want to go with them. What we got here? So these pictures, I think, look fantastic. I mean, look at that one. Yeah. He's done such a great job. I don't know if Paul's online, actually. I haven't seen him, but he always does such a lovely job for this. That's why I always get him to do the renders, because it really, you know, really shows you what you're going to get. And I really like him, and I like this shot as well. I think it's a lovely shot. What else have we got here? Oh yeah, this one's pretty good. Yeah, that's a. So here's another thing. Stand's going to be a stretch goal. This is the thing. Is 17-inch stretch goal more important than the stand? This whole thing is really, you know. But yeah, so without a stand, with a stand. Now the look, it will probably be forward and back rolling, okay, and not round. I'm going to try and put a ball on it, but it's very hard to make these out of the mould. I mean, it's going to be like the old ones, you know, with the plastic with the ball, and you move it around. You see, it's just going to be kind of like that. That's the aim, but that's 2 more injection moulds, so you know, it gets really expensive. Anyway, it's back to the point. Yeah, I want them to look good sitting on a PC. So if you've got an old like old PC or whatever, or if you've got a Mac and you want it to look correct with a 4:3 aspect, you know, you have these sitting next to them, because you can't buy things like this. You know, there are lots of nice panels out there. Don't get me wrong. There's some great panels out there, but they look modern. They all look modern. They don't. Let's be posh. They're not got the aesthetic. Let me turn that off. OMC Retro would like to promote. Oh well, look, okay, yeah. I mean, Neil's always been really good to me. He's becoming a big superstar now, isn't he? So I used my videos when he did his videos. They were like his biggest numbers, but not now. You know, it was. I think the monitor might actually be quite a good one, but I need as many. Now that's a good thing about going to the show, because there's going to be a lot of YouTubers there. I'm hoping they're all going to want to talk about it and have a look at it, you know, and put it on their channels, because that's why I want to do the Kickstarter around that time. So that you've got time between the show, they've got time to talk about it, and then, you know, because I've got a month. So it's probably going to be almost just before the show, and then you've got time after the show. Oh, hang on. I'll be getting a Mini on my next payday for my PC. Yeah, thanks, Lee. Yeah, look, the Minis are lovely, but I actually think it's the better looking case. The Mini is because it's almost the same size as the 3000. The Plus is really nice. You know, don't get me wrong. I love the case, but the Mini was more I was aiming for, but I couldn't put big motherboards in it. But they don't sell very well. They don't sell very well. So, you know, hence I've dropped the price a little bit. You know. So, which is I'm not gonna say disappointing, but I mean I've got like 100 in stock. I probably won't make any more. I will make pluses, because even if this, just so you know, if this Kickstarter fails, I'll be shutting down the office, moving, you know, having a big clearance of Minis. I'll just probably almost give them away, but I'll keep the pluses and put them in the garage, and we'll just do like that, and I'll just build from the garage, because they're a good little sideline and they do make money, and people really like them. So I sell probably 3 or 4 times the amount of Plus cases now. In fact, that's always been the case, actually. Funny enough. Oh, yeah, sorry. I sold so far about 400 Minis, and I've sold about 9. No, I must have sold 1,100 Pluses. I sold a lot. So yeah, it's probably 3 times more, and it still is. Yeah, the Mini's a lovely case. Yeah, I know. A lot of people say about they want two monitors. Some people want 3 or 4. Oh, they got a rack of old computers and they want to and yes, please, more the merrier. With the Plus cases, one guy bought 10. I didn't know he bought 10, and I went back. I actually refunded him 8 of the cost, because he said, "Well, I just wanted to be a success." Yeah, it's a lot of money. But I refunded it after the successful Kickstarter. Yeah. I'm going for a black case. Yeah, but the only thing with the black cases, and it's to do with the powder coated metal, is, as Neil said, it's fingerprint magnet. You only got to get your fingers near it. You're always polishing it, so keep your hands clear of it. But they do look really good when they're polished, when they're clean. Been able to move the screen position. Yeah, it could be that, see, what it could end up being, and I haven't decided this yet, it could be that because I think that stand there, even though it's static and it doesn't move, it's got a 5-degree angle at the moment, it's still quite nice to have it lifted. But that could be static, and if I reach a kickstart, if I reach another stretch goal, then I make the rotating one, the moving one, because it's more expensive. But because I'll have more money, I'll have the funds to do it, and so I can do that. But it will just be rocking, just like the old ones, just rocking forward and backwards. And if you turn any monitor. Yeah, see, now here's the thing, look, this is a really good point. Jeremy says, can't you put an extended gasket be used between the speaker and the side to see it? No, you don't need to. The speakers I've got gaskets built in. It's done. It's done deal. The other thing I was thinking, if you're putting a smaller one in, I'll make little adapters. Yeah. I remember paying £500 for a multi-stick monitor, and that was over 20 years ago. Yeah, look, these are not expensive monitors, but people are used to paying £120 or £75. I can't do that. It's ridiculous. The panel costs more than most of these monitors you buy nowadays. Now, if you look for IP, this is the thing. Search for 19-inch, 4:3 aspect ratio, IPS, £300. And I'm going to sound arrogant. I don't mean to be, but they don't look as let's just say they don't look as retro. They look very modern. It's 300, 400, 500, 600 pounds, right? Okay, 400, 500, they're touch screens. But this is an industrial panel. It's not a cheap panel that you get in like the one-up arcade things. It's not a cheap one like that. I can get them panels. I'm not using them. So these are industrial panels. They're designed for signage, so they have to be on forever. And so they're good quality and they look great. I've got 2 other panels. They sent wrong ones, and you move slightly off axis, it all goes to pot. These things you go right round, and you saw when I turned that earlier. They are really nice. Yeah, you like my shirt. I used to wear these all the time with streams, and I thought I'll put one on tonight. This is my dancing shirt, actually, because we go with my wife. You probably know my wife and I, we go do rock and roll. And so apparently I haven't worn this one dancing, but I've got a load of rock and roll shirts, and they're like this. Oh, hello, Paul. Yeah, look, Richard, I know the stand's important. It costs a lot of money. I don't know if you was here for the figures, Richard. It's really expensive. How is each board powered? Will they need their own power? No, this is the clever bit. So, where's that other... Right. On here, power goes in here, right? 12 volt power goes in. I forgot where it is now. Yeah. This one has got 2 5-volt line outs. So what we're doing is, have got it completely worked out how it's doing, but basically you've got 12 volts going in and then 5 volts coming out. So you'll have 2 leads that come off of our breakout board. Yeah, the breakout board connecting to the breakout board, and then that will give you 2 leads that will then plug 5 volts into, for example, the GPS, give you a couple of amps for the GPS, give you, these little retro tinks use half an amp or something silly like that. And you'll be able to plug one of them in. You'll be able to plug a Pi in if you want 2 amps. You can get 2 amps. So I'm going to supply it with 6 or 7 amp power packs, which will be external, not internal. Because Paul did an initial picture with a great big kettle plug. There's no power supply built in. You plug it in from the rear. I'm doing it that way with these. But I'm going to put a nice big power supply with a lot of amps, so you can power quite a lot internally. Because you've got these 3 pods. So I'm working on 2 amps for each pod, and so you should be plenty there. Yeah, so single power. But that actually threw up an interesting point, because on here, there's a button on here. Sorry, on the button bar, and it puts it into standby mode. So it, it's monitors standby mode. The trouble is, it's still put 5 amps in the other boards, so they're still fully powered up. So more than likely, you'll turn it off. Yeah, there'll be no standby mode, and I'll kill the power on a switch. That's still being worked out. Yeah, Byron's helped me with that. So it's a Byron and Rob thing. We're working that out. But I want it so when you turn that power off on the front, kills the power, because otherwise you've got the top one still on. I have 2 minis on the drive and 2 minis in my cave, and I know which ones we have to go first. Question: is it easy to make the stand into a cylinder rather than a ball, so it tilts rather than turns? Cylinder on the side. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I still don't know how I'm doing this yet, because the problem is it's going to look weird. We're kind of, for retro, you're kind of used to it being. I mean, I'm thinking of almost like it's inside a structure. There's just a metal with a hinge, but it's hidden behind something. Still not quite decided how the best way of doing that yet. But again, it needs a stretch gun. And it might be sort of, that might be just something we sell, and then because I'll put the fitting on the however it fits to the monitor. That will be built into the monitor stand. Like the old days, you had the kind of hook in, screw at the back. It'll be like that kind of thing, yeah. And so the stand will connect, plug in, come up, and bolt in at the back. That's how it'll work. Exactly sure, yeah, but that's pretty much it. And then the stand will do that. Yeah, see, Richard, no, look, you might think stand comes before the 17-inch bezel. I think you're probably right. But I'm going to do a poll on this. This is going to be one of the things. What's most important for stretch goals? What do I prioritise? And I think you're probably right on. I do think you're probably right. You're not always right, Richard, but I do think you're probably right on this. The stand is more of a priority. The moving stand. And I can probably budget for a solid stand, but I don't know if that's. I don't know. The monitor looks good just sitting on the thing, but hope the video input board is above spec. I don't know what that means. What does above spec mean? It's a bloody good board. It works great. You're going to see. I mean, it's but it's an AV board as opposed to like multiple HDMIs. This is not about multiple HDMIs. This is for a reason I picked it. Was because, for one thing, because of all these bloody inputs, all these inputs here, right? For audio-visual inputs, it's really good for AV. So, and it's got HDMI, it's got VGA, and it's got all that AV. So, I picked it for that reason. And I still haven't seen anything better. And plus, they've been tweaking the firmware for me, which is good. How deep is it? Oh, it's increased by an inch. It's about that big, she said. More I've seen with renders, the more retro I think the monitor looks without a stand. Yeah, I mean, look, you won't have to put the stand on. You won't have to put the stand on. But how deep is it? Where's my tape measure gone? Right, here we go. I'll measure it for Richard. Right, 14 centimetres at the moment, but it's extended. I think it's about 17 centimetres. Just under 7 inches. She cried. No jokes. It used to be average, but I extended it. Yeah, right. Okay, so I think that covers it. You know, you've kind of seen everything. You've seen the figures. You've seen what it's going to cost. You've seen how much money I'm going to run off into the hills and make. But the thing about this is, I want the monitor to come out, right? Even if it doesn't have a stand, right? Because the stand's going to add £10,000. Guess ballpark here. £10,000 to £15,000 because it's the molds. It might not be. I might be able to pare it down a bit. It's going to add money to the cost, which means you've got to make more money. And so the bezel for the 17-inch, 16,000. It's only the tooling because the rest of it is kind of calculated in. Don't worry about the rest of it. But the tooling is another 16,000. So it has to be. You know, I have to increase the numbers. So you're talking, got to get to minimum of 50. Look, in an ideal world, we'd sell 2,000 of these monitors, and then pretty much you're going to get everything, you know. And that kind of you'll kind of get into the area where I'll throw the speakers in, because that's what I'm going to promise with the Kickstarter. Once I've worked this all out, is as we increase, as the value, as the size of the Kickstarter value grows, and we'll add in, for example, the speakers, because they're not overly expensive. The GBS board, etc., is not overly expensive, so we could potentially add that. But I don't have a problem with making that like a £30 extra kind of thing. Let's say £30-40 extra. But if it's extras, then I'll make more profit on them. That's how it works. But the basic, I want to get the basic price right. And the 329 is quite a nice magic little number, which I can get it to just scrape in under 25% profit margin, which is the key figure. I have to do that. But if we can get to 2,000 sales, I mean, I don't see why this can't sell 3,000 monitors. I mean, let's be honest. How many people in this community? And I don't just mean the Amiga community. Across all communities, because this is going to work great with any retro machine, PlayStation, you know, Nintendo 64. I'm already using the Nintendo 64, the BBC Micro RGB input. I've got an Archimedes. Where is my Archimedes is down there, which I haven't tested it with the new board yet. But I'm going to test that with a new prototype when that arrives. So it's going to work well, I think, and it should look good on all of them. That's the idea. Right, was there any more questions? Because I'm going to bugger off otherwise. How rude. Do we have a rough ETA of what? The Kickstarter, as I said, if you may have not been here earlier, the Kickstarter hopefully will complete at the end of April-ish, because I'm going to sync it in time, in line with the OLL show, 2022 show, so people can come to the show, get excited, back it. That's the plan. See the two prototypes working, both of them, and then back it. And all those YouTubers there can come and video it. Hopefully, go and tell everyone about it. Get this thing out there as quick as we can. And then it's going to be a 9 month. It's going to be at least 9 months. It's not. There's no, because give you an example. It's 2 months just to ship from China. So 9 months is nothing. So probably 9 months for the Kickstarter, for delivery. But you know, again, and then I did look into having them assembled in China. The problem with that was I can't be flexible with different things, and I like assembling these things. And again with this one, especially if we get a bigger number, then there's a good chance I might be able to employ someone, because I'm having real problems with my back, and I may end up maybe getting someone like maybe a retired Amiga fan who wants to come and earn some extra money and like come and help me build these. And someone who's, you know, like takes a lot, loves it, and take as much care as I do building these things. and that, well, I didn't do it with the cases, but I may well do it with this, depending on how it goes. Do I have a link for the show? No, just OLL 2022. Go and look it up. Is the badge shiny? Well, actually, but no, because it's okay. It's part of the injection molding. It's actually going to be part of it. Now, I don't know. I'm thinking. I don't want to make it. I like the fact, but I've seen these bloody renders that Paul's done, and he's got the lettering shining. It looks great, but I don't know how we can do this. The other thing he's done is my favourite is screen printed onto the bezels. Now, the great thing is the bezels are like a big, very slim thing, so we could probably get them screen printed. And which means we might be able to, I don't know, it's shiny, but something like a grey, you know, to make them stand out, because it does look really nice. And I like the idea of the screen printing underneath the bezel. I love the way Paul's done that on it. Let me just show you that actually. The way he's done this on the, I'll just blow a bit of sunshine up Paul's arse here, I think. Right, let me just go full screen on that, and then I'll switch. So you can see here where he's got all this lovely screen, and I really like this. You know, he's put these here. They don't make any sense to the actual things, but I mean, we could, you know, put something there, and then that lovely. It looks fantastic, and the shiny Checkmate logo really does look good. And the 1080s. He wanted to put the word 10, no. But the 1087S, I think there's. I'm more like actually a smaller S, but I'm probably going to get that screen printed because it does look really good. I mean, people make these stickers, you know, with a transparent background. They suck. I won't put one on my cases. They really suck. Has to be screen printed. That, if you look at a 3000, anything that looks really good is screen printed, or like, you know, the 2000 is a sticker, but it's embedded in. You know. But yeah, if you do try doing the text with a clear background, they look horrible. They really do. So screen printing is the answer for this. But I like the Checkmate logo, and I am branding it. I mean, it's, you know, it's going to be branded. Yeah, I just think they're going to look really nice. So that's, you know, badge should be the same as the CCTV. No, it shouldn't. No, maybe a little bit. I don't know whether we can do that unless we can. I don't know whether we can actually put a shiny surface on the text. I honestly don't know. But we'll look into it. I mean, a grey would probably give us a similar effect. But I know what you mean, because if you look at this picture now, the shine across it. I bloody hate Paul for doing that, because I don't even know how we can do it. But I know there's going to be ways of doing it, but making it shiny, I don't know. But it does look bloody amazing. How would the external Mr. buttons work? Right, do you remember that? See that thing on the front? Right? Down here. Yeah? Look at the bottom where it says utility. You see where it's got USB there? It's a utility panel which you could put buttons on. I might even make it. I don't know. It's not a bad idea, actually. Just make, you know, a nicely, not like them bloody ones, the traffic light ones that Neil did. I hope Neil's not watching. I mean, he did a great job with them, but I'll tell you, those traffic light things, God. But as nice, tasteful buttons along in that panel, because there's going to be lots of different things like OLED panels, USB panels. People can make anything they want inside that area there. 3D print it and spray it, clip it into place. I don't know. At the moment it's clipped in, it might end up being screwed in. But yes, that's going to be fantastic. That thing at the front is going to be great, because if you've got a computer in there, you want ports at the front. You might want buttons. You said for Mister, you might want buttons. Do what you like with it. I don't care. That's the whole point of it. Also, are the pods large enough for mini ITX? No. No mini ITX. What a bloody... You don't want a mini ITX. This is... No. Because it's going to make them huge. And the shipping cost is based on volume. And so if I make them even bigger, I think it's just a waste of space. Who's going to put a mini ITX? But I get asked this a lot, and I don't see any point at all, because you can put a Pi in it, which is small. You can put a Mister. What? Just stick a Mister in it. That's not mini ITX. You don't need it. You can put these side by side and have all ports at the back. No. There'll be a Mister kit. You don't need mini ITX. Oh yeah, I've got one of these. Look. Oh my god. I bought one of these because of my back problems. Look. I've got a stand table. Right, come on, questions, because I'm going to go in a minute. I know shine gives it a quality look. Of course it does. I don't know how it's going to be done then. Paul can cover the extra cost. Yeah, I think I might make him pay as well. Vampire kit. Yeah, but I'm probably, because you've actually, it's quite deep. So, if you've the GBS, I haven't got one here, but the GBS board. I mean, this. Let's go back to. Go back to here. Right. This board here is nearly 10 centimeters, okay? The GBS board is bigger. Now I've given it more room. You've actually got more than that. I think you've got like something like 115 internally, 120. Now, Mini ITX would have pushed it to 170, and then the panel, and you'd be 200. It's just too big. But these boards, when you put like a Mister in it, you have got quite a bit of room. So you've got quite a lot of room for like putting a Pi on it with one of the breakout boards, like I did with my cases. And you can do it that way, which will work quite well. And if you do that, you can power it. I don't think I've got one here actually, but if you get oh, is that one? Yeah, here we go. So if you've got a Pi. Where are we? If you've got a Pi, you plug a Pi into there, and it gives you your HDMI's at the back. You also got an internal power, so you can power it internally. Now, of course, being over the Pi, you got to shut it down and everything. But that's quite a nice size, and that'll easily go in there. Yeah, that'll easily fit in there. And these are slightly deeper because I've gone an extra inch to allow for the GBS. Because I wanted a bit of room the other side of it, and it is quite a big board, so that's fun, but not mini ITX. But Vampire, yeah, Vampire's probably the Vampire would go in, because it's not very deep. The Vampire, I haven't got one because it's too bloody expensive. But I think you'd probably be able to fit one in quite easily. It would go quite nice in it. I mean, and if you've bought mini with a kid, don't shout at me, but it would actually be quite nice in the mods, I think. With all the great progress made so far, are you happy with how things are turned? Where's my mouse pointer? What's going on with the mouse? Right. So let's read that again. With all the great progress made so far, are you happy with how things are turning out? Is the project shaping up to what you initially envisioned? Yeah, probably better. My only concern is always, can I reach the target? Because I've already spent $2-3 grand on this, and so it's now as I've said to people, when my monitors arrive. They'll have cost me, like getting on for $3 grand. So I'll have two. I mean, this one's still good, but this is a very early prototype, and it's actually kind of cool. I might put one of the other panels in, which weren't as good as these, and then just have that in the corner. But the other ones will be I think that they're almost production ready. I mean, there will be changes, but they're almost production ready. So they'll look fantastic, just be the most expensive monitors I've ever bought if it fails. But it's, again, Patreon support, because I get like $350 a month, which isn't an awful lot, but I spend it on stuff. As I said, the prototypes cost a fortune, and my 3D printer. Actually, I'm glad I didn't buy it before because they were really expensive and puny little things. But that £450, fantastic printer. Yeah, I'll give you some examples. Now look. Okay, now can you see this? Hang on, let's put it here. Can you see that? I mean, what it can print is just amazing. And I do all my testing. I've been able to really finalise the testing. But it does, I don't know, I mean, look, I did this for my little boy, Flopsy. But this one really impressed me. See that? That is not clipped together, it was printed like that. Yeah, it just literally came out with all the hinges made, printed in place. Couldn't believe it, absolutely amazing. Yeah, and we've got another one here, look. So, it just shows you. And it was printed like that. Fantastic printer. It's a Creality Ender Pro, and I paid about £430 for it. Which and it's a big bed. It's like a cubic foot by foot by foot. You know, it's a big bed. So yeah, it's a fantastic printer, and I'm really pleased. Absolutely, really pleased. Vampire, they want it left in the case for warranty, though, don't they? Will it still fit? Okay, so yeah, because if you've noticed in my cases, you leave it in the box and shove it in my box. Doesn't matter about that. I don't care, leave it sealed up, and I've got cable kits and just run them at the back. You just get one of these frames, stick it in, screw it in, and connect the cables up. Exactly the same with the other one. Because okay, that's if it's not too deep. If it's too deep, tougher. Do you know what I mean? Put Mister in it, it's way better. I know people will argue, but the Vampires only does Amiga, right? I mean, look, I've got two Vampires, one there, proper Vampires, not those really expensive ones. I've got two Vampires, they're fantastic, but I don't know how they can charge £600 for £80 chip, but there you go. Yeah, the Vampire is. I don't see why it wouldn't fit because I vaguely remember. But look, Richard, measure it. How deep is it? Richard, come on, Richard. How deep is it? What's the running cost of a 3D printer like? Well, it's £15 for a kilo. £18 a kilo. These take about 100 grams. Its weight, that's probably 100 grams. I mean, that is fantastic, that thing. Absolutely. And all the intricate bits inside, I don't know if you can actually make it out inside. It's hollow inside. And it had to build supports. It's just amazing printer. But it helps me. Put Flopsy away. Funny thing is, Alfie loves the printer and he keeps wanting to come in and press it to home. And we use it to bribe him. So, yes, because we're potty training. So, you want to turn it on and off? Go have a wee. Yeah, so look, while Richard goes off and measures it, because I mean, I'm not expanding the case, but I don't think it was that big. But mine's up in the bloody up in the loft. I can't remember how deep the GBS board is. But there is a fair bit of room inside, so I've got a feeling it will go because I don't know. Anyway, that's beside the point. It's expensive anyway. If you're going to spend £600 on Vampire, you can afford to spend £400 on a monitor. Right. Okay. So, are there any more questions? Because I've been rabbiting for hours. Anything else? Richard can send me a message. Okay, right. Yeah, so 50 people roughly during the stream. Let me grab my calipers. Got a feeling GBS is 101, 101. Yeah, I got a feeling it is as well. And I've given it an extra inch if I remember rightly, so you've probably got like 120. So I think, but the only thing with the Vampire, interestingly, is you have to plug in the back a bit, so that may cause a problem with the cables. But anyway, look. Yeah. Thank you. Right, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go spend... My wife's probably gone to bed. Yeah, she's probably gone to bed. But I'm going to call it a day. 117 by 101. What's the depth? Is depth 117 or is... So what's the most it'll cost? You know me. I always think of something to put in it. I don't know. I can't say because because I'll be doing the GBS kits won't be expensive because they're not expensive. You can go on Alibaba. You can see them for $11, $13, and that little board is like $2. So those bits are not very expensive. We have got to make Byron's board. And then there's of course the mounting frame and then cables and stuff. So we're not going to make it, but I'm going to make more profit than the monitor. But it won't be overly expensive. It'll be what it needs to be. But it'll probably be cheaper buying it. Well, you'll probably look at my price and go, "Oh, blimey, that's cheap," compared to something equivalent. And you'd have to be honest, you've got to go up to an OSSC if you want to better it. And if you get one of these, it's like 100 to 150, something in that range, depending on which one you get. And if you look at the Retro Tink 5X, apparently fantastic product, £300, or is it $300? It's one of the two. Ridiculous. 12 centimeters is size of the lid. Now I'm assuming, Richard, that's depth, not width. If it's depth, it should be hopefully all right, but it depends how big the connectors are that go in the back, because you've got connectors at the front, at the back, but you've also got some at the other end. 14 centimeters is the size of the cardboard box it came in. Yeah, no, that don't mean. Is it depth or width? 12 centimeters might be alright. I don't. I'm not buying one to try it, so that is depth. Okay, so 12 centimeters. That's about the same as the GBS. So it's all down to, because I gave an extra inch over the GBS. So if that's the case, then you should be alright. It depends on obviously the cables, but I can always get like right angled cables to plug in. Might be able to work something out there. Yeah, we'll see. And if it comes to it, but yeah, look, I don't know if I want to put my, let's make it deeper because to make the Vampire V4 going. Not £600 for that. It's £1,000 in with that in it. It's like, really? You could I'd rather put a mister in it. Much better. Can the vamp go inside? Yeah, probably. Take the bloody thing out of the case. Oh, actually no, because the board is about the depth of the case. It's not much actually. The case literally butts each end, doesn't it? So it wouldn't make any difference. You could put it sideways, but you've got a lot of cables, so I don't know. Mr. Works out expensive as well. No. Not really. Well, no, not really. No. Bullshit, Richard. I know you can't get them at the moment, but I paid £300 for this. Yeah? £300 for that. And it's walks all over the Vampire to me. Yes, it's not got floating point. Hasn't got that high speed, but most people, it's an equivalent to a 50 megahertz 1200 030, yeah, and it's got a 486 core. It's got a Neo Geo, which the Vampire team, we've got Neo Geo. No, you haven't. It's not Neo Geo. This is proper Neo Geo. Every single core you want. This is way better. The Vampire should be £300, £400. There's no way it should be 500-600. It's a joke. Right, anyway. Mr. is more than the mini guy. Yep. Yeah, the Mister just walks all over the vampire. And the only reason I would suggest go and look at the price of the chip. Look at this. Put the number in. Go online and see how much they cost. Might shock you, because the rest of it's peanuts. Mr. Components have been going up in the age of shortages. Yeah, well that's life. Vampire probably go up another 200 quid, no doubt. Mr. still only runs OS 3.9. No more development. What? I got 3.1.4 mine, and you could put 3.2 to 3.21. What are you talking about? Mister's much better, and it. No, I don't want to slag off the vampire because I love it. I've got 2 vampires. The vampire should be that kind of price. Anyway, you know my feelings about the vampire. The standalone, not the vampire. I love the vampire. I stand by. I love the vampire. But the price of the standalone is just stupid. Don't want to be slagging people off. Right, okay. I'm going to go. Thank you very much. Again, I might do another. I might give next week a miss. The following week, I may well have the case. Is the thing. So we'll see about next week. Yeah, get an Amiga. Yeah, I've got 20 left. I've got to promote them, to be fair, but I've got 20 Amigas still, and they're lovely little boards. I'll probably do some stupid price soon. Complete system. Anyway, Hyperion OS dev held up with court bullshit. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Richard, YouTube wanted me to block it, but I've showed it. It's true. I mean, like, it is. If they could sort that out. Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Amiga Man 1, I agree with you totally. I love both of them. My only complaint with the Vampire is the V4 is too expensive, and those new accelerators are too expensive for what they cost to make. Yeah. Right, I'm going to. Oh, Colm, your stuff's going out tomorrow. I'm going to go, and I'm going to speak to you soon. So I'm going to kill this stream in a few seconds. Thank you for joining in, and I'll see you possibly next week, if not the week after. All right. Thanks so much, guys. See ya.